Hello, and welcome to the second episode in this series about optimization and entrepreneurship. We have with us today Charles. He is the founder of a company called Bitmotek, and he's going to tell us a little bit about his entrepreneurial journey. He will also make a little demo about sports scheduling and exam scheduling. So Charles, welcome, and if you want to introduce yourself, you and the company.
Yes, thank you very much for having me, Christina. I appreciate the opportunity to talk about optimization. It is a passion of mine, so thank you for organizing this. My name is Charles. I am a founder of a mathematical optimization company that I founded in 2020. So it's my fifth year in entrepreneurial, and it's going very well. I'm very happy where we're at, and it started from a project from my studies, actually, from academic studying. So maybe I could start with introducing how I decided to study mathematics.
That would be a good one. And if you can also explain the name. Does the name mean something? Bitmotek?
Yes. Yeah, so Bitmotek is for bit, which is computers, zeros and one, mo for model, and tech for technologies. In mathematical optimization, we build models. So I wanted to find a way to encompass this, and it took me a long time to find the name.
How did you start? Because I think that's a very good topic to talk about. Why did you start mathematics, right?
Yes. I want to talk about this because when I finished high school, I decided to be a mechanic. So I studied to become a mechanic, quite different than mathematics. And then after that, I decided to study engineering. So the mechanics taught me that mechanical engineering might be something I'd like to learn, because explaining how things move and how things are built. And then in mechanical engineering, during my studies, I realized that physics was driving the mechanical engineering. So I decided to switch and I studied physics. And then when I was studying physics, guess what I found? Everything is mathematics. So physics don't work without the math. So I decided to study the math. I always went one level deeper into the technical at every stage of my academic journey. And I decided to continue my mathematics further with a master's in combinatorial optimization. And that's how I decided to start a freelancing business after that.
Okay, so your first project was from the university. That's what you said.
Yes. So during my studies, my supervisor found a project on sports scheduling with a real client. So we were getting data in exchange of me writing two different models to solve the same problem in order to analyze the performance side by side. So the project returned real solution for the client, and in turn gave me the data needed to write a successful master's thesis. And to this day, I still serve this customer with my company. So it's been 8 years. Yeah.
Wow, that's super cool.
Yeah.
And do you have only optimization projects, or you do also analytics or something else?
Yeah, I've done analytics, and also we have a project right now working on building a product for a drilling, not a drilling company, but they assist drilling companies to go on the river, like passing cables underground and things like that. It requires a lot of physics and mathematics in the background, and we help with that. So we've developed an app for this, but most of our projects are optimization. Yeah.
Okay. Wow, this project sounds like quite challenging and interesting. Probably.
It is a challenge, yes. We've done a lot of experiments in the backyards with magnets and sensors and physics equipment. So it's been a really fun journey.
Okay. Great. So then what's your typical day look like? Like what do you do all day?
In a day, I obviously, like most of us, I do emails. For the first 4 years of Bitmotek, I was alone, so
Hmm.
a day was, I guess, free. I do what I want when I want. But now we have a team, and we are 4 members, and it's a lot of management. So there's management, there's ideation. I want to think about products that we can build or clients that we can serve. Um, So a day is, I'd say a day is not typical. There's
Hmm.
no, every day is so different. It's hard to say exactly what I do, but um, there's not a second that goes by in a day that I don't think about Bitmotek. Uh, so yeah, day is email managing, HR, payroll,
Hmm.
taxes, bookkeeping, and then coding, which this is the fun part when I get lost in coding and trying to solve a problem. So yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. I guess like you do what needs to be done, right? Well, wherever
Yeah,
there is a need, you go there.
exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
It's getting better
So,
now with a team.
oh,
It's it
okay.
helps. Yeah.
Yes, I can imagine. So, what about optimization? What can we do to make it more popular? To make people think that it's the best thing ever? Because we have a bit of a struggle
Hmm.
here. Like we have this awareness problem that people really use optimization without knowing it's optimization, mathematical optimization. And then when you say, well, you actually use maths to do this, they are quite impressed and they become more curious. They want to know more. So, how?
Mhm.
Any ideas? How can we do that?
Um, at a global scale, I'm not too sure. That's a very difficult question. In my immediate network, how I make it work is um, I attend in-person events or reaching out on LinkedIn and um, chatting with businesses that I think could use logistic optimization or um, some sort of decision AI.
Mm.
And then I try to spark a conversation. Um, I think by chatting and continuing to talk with people will eventually make it more known. Um, it's right now in the current market, I'd say I track the jobs posting on LinkedIn, and there's a lot
Mm.
of jobs in the US that calls for optimization specialists. But that's the thing, it's big companies that know there's a problem because they've tried it themselves. So, for example, Amazon posts jobs all the time for to be part of their routing optimization team. So they
Mhm.
already manage deliveries internally, so they want to optimize the service to their customers. So they build an internal department, I guess, to address the question. So it is already known by some players and some managers. And then for the rest, maybe it's a business that delivers locally something and it's smaller, so maybe they haven't had the exposure to mathematical optimization. Um, and then for that, I think doing like the things you're doing, like podcasts or website with simple enough um, documentation to help people understand why is it that it's a difficult problem. Because when you look at a sports schedule, it doesn't look difficult at all. You look at it,
Mm.
oh, this team plays this team. How hard could it be
Mm.
to come up with that? But those problems are NP hard, and for those who know, NP hard is the enemy of a computer. So yeah, I think in a sense, just continue to spread the world and spark discussions when we can with people and tell them this is what I do and this is how I can help and let me prove it.
Yes, that's a good attitude. I like that you go and search for, like, it's like you are creating the opportunities. You're not waiting for them to come to you. You are actively looking. So I
Yes.
guess, and I'm happy to hear it pays off. You get projects, you have a team, so it seems like it's a good attitude. So let's see the
Yes.
sport scheduling. Now I'm very curious.
Yes, I prepared a little example of a sports scheduling model that I run. So I'll show two demos, one for academic timetabling and one for sports scheduling. The sports scheduling, I'll show the process that I use is I like to be close to the code as possible because every client has different requests and different requirements. So I keep it very bare bones and I use Excel for my data input and output so that it allows me to iterate quickly on customers' requests and change models, create new constraints, and all the things that I need to do. So let me share my screen. All right, so I've prepared the rules of our little example. So for a sports scheduling example, I'll take this example of 20 teams divided in two divisions. So each team plays 26 games. So that means we have a total of 325 games to assign. And these are the decision variables of our problem. And then in orange here are our constraints. So we'll say no interlock games, which means no division, no interdivision games. So all the teams, 10 teams in each division plays only within their division. And then we want to balance the number of home and away games so that every team plays the same number of home and away games. We want to limit the difference between home and away games with a same opponent. And then we want a minimum of 2 games against a division opponent and a maximum of 4 games. So I created this little example just to show a typical problem sports scheduling leagues have, which is creating a schedule that minimizes travel distance to save travel costs. It's every team has to pay for. This is especially true for teams that travel. Like in Canada, we have a big country, so there's a lot of kilometers to travel between games. But and so I'll show you a baseline where we don't optimize it for the travel and an optimized version to see the difference of what we get. So this is a program I wrote. And so it's an home and away optimizer. And I'm going to select my input file, which is just our example here in the background. And now it created a solution, outputs in Excel. So we see that the total distance travel of this sports league, maybe that's a bit small, it's 85,000 kilometers. So we'll go right away to solve and see if we can improve this. Now this is input data that I won't go over, but in this version, I just turn on the minimization. So now the model is working hard on finding the optimal solution. So it already has found three solutions. And this is
which solver are you using for this?
Yes, this is using Google OR tools.
Okay, cool.
And here we go. So 72,000. So if we put them side by side, we have 13,000 kilometers less. And so again, I like to use Excel because I can manipulate the output. The client usually use Excel anyway, so I'm just staying in their own world. And then I do things like this. I output in a way that is formatted for them, and then they can use it quickly. And we can iterate. So we can change the constraint, rerun it. It doesn't take too long. The model is efficient, and yeah. So that's
looks like simple and efficient. No, don't need to spend millions of euro or dollars.
No,
get the results.
Yeah, and then so yeah, but on the other end, sometimes and I'll show this example. Sometimes a client like a university has to do exam scheduling, and they have to share the solutions from an optimization model with a bunch of stakeholders that need to make a decision. So they need to be able to evaluate certain metric about a schedule. So this is a project we did several years ago, I think 2022. And this is an older version of the viewer. It's now more up to date, but I'm using this for the demo here. And all it does basically is takes a solution. So we've already ran this through our model, and then it displays the solution. So for each day, so this was around Easter, so no exams were to be scheduled from Friday to Monday. And then I can show the instructors as well, and it shows the clients, and they can share this with the entire stakeholders to evaluate the quality of a schedule. So we can look, if we're interested in math, we can go filter and find out, where is it? Here, the math exams. So that's the exam schedule for math. And the reason
and what are the typical constraints here, or which are the difficult to model?
Yes, if I go to the analysis tab, some of the constraint for this school was the gym usage. So large classes like first year math, they needed to do the exam in the gym. Sometimes it's a lot of it goes, it's 10,000 students, and on a 14-day, 4 periods per day schedule to put all the exams and ensure there's no conflict. So before our model, they were having conflicts where students would have 2 exams at the same time, and therefore they would request out-of-time exams. But with our solution, they get no, we eliminated that, but also there was a bunch of rules that the school needed to see. So for example, if we want to see how many students have 2 exams in one day, then they can select this, and a green shows 0 occurrence, a red shows 396. So on the first day of exams, there's 396 students that have 2 exams in one day. And you can even find out which student and which exams are causing this. And this was developed for the client. So it's not an app that we make public, but the client saw value in being able to select, okay, which instructor have back-to-back exams? And you see, not many, actually 0. Yeah. So no instructor have back-to-back. So that was good. And then different things they have here is like the number of students per day. I can toggle this, and then we see that on the first day, there's going to be 4,700 students going to the school for exams, which our model kind of paired with the bus and the public transit system, so that the exams in the evening and on the evening periods were minimized and things like that. Anyway, I just wanted to show the viewer. Yeah, this looks cool. It's something. Oh yeah, and then there's the summary tab with even more analytics. But and there was a compare feature so that you could choose another data set and see side-by-side comparison. Again, it's like, I'll stop sharing here, but I guess it's the value of optimization. Sometimes it's the visualization of solutions. It's not just the process. And so building something custom for the client that they could relate to and quickly make the best decision for the school, like they really like that. So it's an approach we keep doing to this day. I always build what the client wants.
Yes, that's a must.
Not always, right? I shouldn't say that. That's not true, but when for visualization at least.
Yeah. Wow, thanks for sharing. Yeah, that's super interesting.
Yeah, it was maybe a bit rushed, but yeah, hopefully you like it.
I think if people have questions, they know where to reach you.
Yes, yeah. I'll be happy to show more demos. Anyone who asks, reach out to me.
Yes. So now a difficult question. What's the biggest challenge in building a company or being a freelancer? What was the biggest hurdle?
The biggest challenge, the biggest hurdle is myself. So I am analytic and I like things to be efficient and find optimization, but building a business is not necessarily that, at least at the beginning. And so there's a lot of judgment calls that need to be made. And with that, I mean timing. So when do you bring in an employee? When do you do this? Do you go for a loan? Do you go for investors? Do you bootstrap? There's many questions and very little answers or right answers. It's very difficult to navigate. So I think I took a safe approach. I built slowly, and then for 4 years, and then I brought in people, which is the best thing I've done. Bringing in close friends that I knew their character, and I know that we can work together as a team, and we're passionate of building something together. So now I think that was the biggest obstacle. It was one, to find the right time to bring in people, and two, to allow myself to not make the right call all the time, like to not need to know everything before I make a decision. Like we can try, and things can fail, and then we can try again. It's not a big deal.
Wow, that sounds so easy. Oh, you fail, it's not a
Well,
big deal. It's okay.
well, yeah, I'm lucky
Yes.
because I have paying customers. So if we fail in one aspect, we have other things covering our finances. That is a huge help for sure. But one
Yeah.
thing that wasn't the biggest obstacle that I thought would be is incorporating a business. So doing the taxes and the bookkeeping and all that stuff. I did do an online course for business management just to get the sense of what it takes, but it was not the difficult part. Like it's easier than it sounds to incorporate a company and get it going, register it everywhere it needs to be, get the insurance, that kind of stuff is the easy part.
Okay, that's maybe in Canada. Who knows in other countries? I
Yeah,
think,
yeah, that's
yeah.
fair.
But that's good to know. Yeah. And what keeps you going? What gives you energy? What is like your drive?
Solving problems. There's so many
Okay.
problems out there. um, when we get new customers for especially sports scheduling, my thesis is in sports scheduling, so we're big in sports scheduling. And when we talk, I love sports. I play sports. I watch sports, and when I solve a sports schedule, I understand what they need. But the clients is just the gratitude they get from optimized solution. Like that's just a good feeling that makes me feel good about the work we do, and that we're able to help them. And then it's a year after year, every year is a new problem. And luckily for me, NP hard problems are hard all the time. So next year you change one request from one team and the whole thing goes sideways. So you need to work again. So it's yeah, solving the problem. I get lost in coding and solving the problems, and that's what brings me energy.
Okay, but what kind of sports? Like, do you focus on a certain sports or everything? Like, what were the
Yeah.
cases you had already?
Right now we do a lot of university sports because it involves student athletes. There's rules like they cannot be on the road for more than 2 games in a row. There's a lot of fun constraint to put into the model and make sure the schedule is fair. And so the sports include basketball, volleyball, hockey, football, soccer. Universities have pretty much all the sports,
Yes.
a lot of sports. So yeah, it's about that. Like I'd say in sports scheduling, people might think there's some easy problems, and I'd say it's true for, let's say, a league that use a round robin style. Everyone plays everyone once. Like, okay, sure, that could be done by a for loop, I guess, in a coding. But yeah, as soon as you add travel considerations, home and away patterns, opponents, unequal number of games against each opponents, now it becomes very tricky. And yeah.
Yeah. And you always need to be creative, now to find ways to model all this. Like, how do you get to the ideas? Like, do you have some books, or you ask some people, or you just think about them?
Um, well, luckily at this point, it's just an extension of what I learned during my master's. So is my supervisor actually worked with people from iLog that then went on to being IBM Cplex. And so he had a lot of experience that he was able to share with me and teach me. And so luckily, I've learned many MIP tricks. So what I do is mostly mixed integer programming and constraint programming. And so the tricks of the trade that I learned from him, I feel like if anyone has a constraint in their head, I can model it. And it might take me time to find a way to model it, but I can. And I'd say that goes back to my master's and having a good supervisor.
Wow, yeah, that's impressive. Okay, so then let's try to wrap it up a bit. Yeah, such a fun conversation. So I wanted to ask, what does success look like for you as a person, as a business person, both? You decide.
I'll start with personal. Like a personal success would be to do what I'm doing right now, which is have the freedom of managing my own schedule. I'm not showing up to a 9 to 5 job necessarily. I do work longer than 9 to 5, but I'm in charge. I can say on Wednesday at 10 I'm not working for the rest of the day. Like that to me gives me the flexibility to have a life with a partner and a family, and like so that is success for me, is to set up my work life so that I have a good balance of uh, free personal life. But I'm so obsessed with optimization that I end up doing a lot of the other stuff. At least I have the freedom to do it whenever I want to do it. And then business wise, success for me is a team venture. So it was difficult for me to be alone for 4 years, and I've had talked with people to join my journey, and but all everyone was at different stages of their life, so I had to stay alone for a little bit. But I think business success for me is bringing up your team and your friends with you and making everyone win. Like, not that I'm responsible for their wins, but together we all pitch in and we build something that we're all gonna win big by doing this. Like whether it's freeing up our schedule financially, or just like growth, like solving challenges and feeling like we're bringing a good solution to the table, to the client, our clients, and feeling good about our work. Everything is better as it with the team. It's not as fun doing it alone.
Yes, that's true.
Well, that's my personal
agree.
opinion, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. Thanks for sharing. Okay, and now at the end, first, thank you very much. I really enjoyed this conversation. And is there something that you want to share with the audience that I didn't ask you? Something that you want them to remember by?
No, I think I think if the audience have questions for me, please reach out. I'm always happy to have a discussion. We can have jump on a call and have a meeting. Just know that everything I've shared today is my personal view on things, and it might not apply to everyone, and it might not be a recipe for success, but it works for me, and I hope that it was useful for some people to hear about how I got where I am today. But there's still a lot of work done. Like I'm not done. This is just the beginning.
Oh, okay. So maybe in 2 years we'll have a new podcast. So we see, or in how many years is the big dream?
Yeah. Also, I'll have more experience with podcasts by then. Maybe like I've never done a podcast. I've done talks for university, but podcast is it's different. Feels different.
Yes, and I think because, as you say, the purpose of this podcast is to show that look, there are stories that are relatable, right? I think I said it before. It's just normal people, let's say it, who start with a project, then another one, and another one, and things start um, to come together. It's also about this community, finding the right people, are either to work with you, for you, or to connect, like this series. So, and I like what you said. In the end, you didn't give a recipe, but I think there is no recipe, because if there was a recipe, we would have had it in a book and we would have all applied it.
Yeah.
So in the end, it's just finding your own recipe. But I think the ingredients are a bit similar. A bit you have to have a bit of risk taking, to be curious. Yeah, I don't know what. Maybe you can add other things.
Yeah.
A good supervisor. So
Yeah, that was
yeah.
very good. Actually, my supervisor was also doing consulting in optimization, so that inspired me to start this business. It made me realize it's possible. There's a
Yeah.
way to make money with mathematics. So
Okay, yeah, I really like that. Should put it as a motto. You can make money with mathematics, because this is not, you don't hear that too often.
no, yeah, it can be difficult, but yeah,
Yeah, it can be done.
yes.
Okay, thanks a lot. And yeah, let's
Thanks for having me.
connect in 2 years. See how it's going.
Okay, sounds good. Yeah. Well, we'll be
Okay.
in touch before that. Yeah, I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you. Bye. Thanks for
Bye.
watching.